For 60 years, she had lived with dignity. She raised her son alone after her husband passed, working 2 jobs, eating less so he could eat more. Her dream? That one day he'd have a family, a loving home. Everything she never had. When he finally brought home his bride, she cried tears of joy. The young woman was beautiful, polite, and seemed to adore her son. At least, at first. At the beginning, everything felt perfect. They'd eat together, laugh together, take pictures, just like a real family. But slowly, the warmth began to fade. The new wife started controlling little things. How much salt is in the curry? How the laundry is folded? Who sits where at dinner? And the son just smiled, letting her rule quietly. The mother didn't complain. After all, peace was more precious than pride. One evening, after a family dinner, the daughter-in-law smiled and said, "Mom, don't forget to finish the leftovers in the fridge, okay? We don't want food to waste." The tone was light, but the meaning wasn't. The mother stood there, holding the dirty dishes, realizing they weren't leftovers meant to be shared. They were leftovers meant for her. She was no longer the head of the house. She was an afterthought. That night, she didn't eat. She just sat by the window, watching the lights go off in their room. The room she once built for her son with her own hands. Days turned into weeks. She noticed the little things. How her chair was moved away from the dining table. How they went out without telling her. How her birthday was forgotten. When she tried to speak, her son said softly, "Mom, you're overthinking." She's just trying to adjust. Adjust, that word echoed in her mind, because the only person adjusting was her. One morning, while hanging laundry, the neighbor, an old friend, but whispered, "You gave everything to your son. Don't forget to save something for yourself." She smiled weakly, but that night, those words kept her awake, because she had saved nothing. Her savings, her jewelry, her house, everything was in her son's name. She had trusted completely, and now she was invisible in her own home. It happened on a Sunday. The daughter-in-law announced a family trip without her. "We'll be gone a few days, Mom. There's food in the fridge. Please heat it up when you're hungry." No invitation, no kindness, just instructions. When the door closed behind them, silence filled the house. For the first time, she truly understood what loneliness meant. She walked to her room, opened her old trunk, and took out a dusty folder. Inside were property papers, certificates, and her will, the one naming her son as sole heir. She stared at it for a long time. Then, with trembling hands, she made a call. "Hello, is this the lawyer? I need to make some change." When her son and daughter-in-law returned, they found her calm, quiet, even cheerful. She cooked.
When her son and daughter-in-law returned, they found her calm, quiet, even cheerful. She cooked dinner, smiled, and spoke gently. It was as if nothing had happened. They didn't notice the difference, but there was one. From that day, she started writing letters, notes, every emotion she'd buried, every tear she'd swallowed. She placed them carefully in a folder titled, "For When I'm Gone." Months later, her health began to fade. Old age crept in quietly. Her son took her to the doctor, but the daughter-in-law seemed impatient. "Mom, you'll be fine. Just rest. We'll check on you later." Later never came. After she passed away, the house felt strangely empty. But soon after the funeral, the lawyer called. The son and daughter-in-law arrived, expecting to sign a few papers and move on. He began to read, "To my son, thank you for being my world once. But I learned, too late, that love without respect turns to pity. The house, the savings, and everything I built will go to those who remember me when I was alive, not after I'm gone." The son sat in silence. The daughter-in-law's face turned pale, and the lawyer handed him one last envelope, a letter. "My dear child, you once promised that you'd never let me feel alone. But promises fade when hearts grow cold. Still, I forgive you, because I didn't raise you to seek revenge. I raised you to find peace." I hope one day you understand what love truly means. Until then, eat well. There's food in the fridge. That night, he opened the fridge.